Hi guys, welcome to my YouTube channel. Today I'll be covering MCP. If you are new to my YouTube channel and want anything that is in and around AI, please subscribe to my YouTube channel, and if you have any personal doubts, directly reach out to me on LinkedIn or Instagram. Let's get started guys. First of all, we need to understand what MCP is, right? So MCP guys stands for Model Context Protocol. Now the first thing is we need to understand that there are three words in picture. One is model, one is context, and the third one is protocol. So models are kind of general LLM models which we all are using for a bunch of applications. Context. Now what is context? So guys, what happens is we want our LLMs to be smart, and we want the fact that LLMs should be used for our own business use cases. They should be used for my personal stuff. For that I would need LLMs to have some context which is not inherently available in their training data. Could be my file system, right? Could be my file system, could be a bunch of APIs, could be a bunch of databases, could be a bunch of other LLMs as well. And in general guys, it could be anything that could provide better context to my main LLM. Now the other thing is protocol. So guys, what is protocol? So protocol is like a what is protocol? So protocol is like a middle layer. Okay. Now protocol essentially helps two services, right? Let's say there is service one and then there is service two. So if you have a protocol that's set up, right, service one can talk to service two. So there's a very famous protocol which the entire internet uses, that is HTTP. So what does that mean? So HTTP is hypertext transfer protocol. So what happens is that whenever you have two things essentially, right? One is a client and another is a server, right? So a client would be sending request to the server and server would be responding to the client. But the protocol that is used in this setup is nothing, it's HTTP. Now you can say that okay, we understand what protocol is, but now how we'll be able to set up this in context of LLMs. So guys, see what exactly we'll be doing is we will be having two things. One is an LLM for sure. I mean LLM would be used, but the main things that will be used are two things which are client and server. So whenever we are dealing with an MCP architecture, right, we require two things. One is a client and another one is a server. So now what are clients, right? So clients are the ones that are going to be consuming your servers, that are going to be consuming your services. So today, for today's demo, we'll be using Claude Desktop. So guys, Claude Desktop is the desktop version of Claude and it has a MCP server inbuilt to it. So now I have a client, but I want my client to be smart enough, right? I want my client to use a bunch of resources, bunch of services, bunch of APIs, bunch of databases, bunch of things which are my own, which are my personal, which are of my organizations, right? So I would love to set up the most simplest and efficient way such that this client can securely talk to my server, right? This is also a very important thing guys, security, right? Because this needs to be the best point is security, right? If I have a server, I'll show you how to create a server. So if we have a server in which we have all the tools mentioned and we have a Claude desktop, right? And the Claude desktop is communicating to these tools in my local machine only, in my local machine only. So it would be more safe, right guys? So in future every organization will have a client as well, their own client, and that will be talking to their server, and they'll have a bunch of APIs and tool calls defined. Now let's just try to go to Google maybe, and let's just try to go to Google maybe. So there is one good website that has been created, I think by Anthropic only. So if you click on model context protocol and this, right? So Anthropic are essentially the founders of MCP. So let's just try to see, let's just accept all cookies. So let's just go to the documentation. Yeah. So this is essentially the documentation. And if you look at this image, right? This image is a nice image. This, let me see if this can be copied, this image. So yeah, essentially I might need to use this image, but yeah, the main thing is this is the main thing, right? So let me see if we can take a screenshot of it and use it into our environment directly. Sometimes guys, these type of things do create some issues, but probably that's okay. We just need a screenshot of this service. So this is the service. So I think guys, I'm able to successfully take a screenshot. So this is the main service that we are primarily using. I hope I'll be able to quickly take a screenshot. Okay. So guys, sorry for the inconvenience, but yeah, these type of things sometimes happen, but yeah, that's possibly fine. So let's just maybe copy and delete, and let's just try to paste it in here. Okay, now I think we should be having this type of system in our uh, pad as well, so that you can focus a little bit more over the general architecture. So if you look at this thing, right, now this is primarily nice, right? This helps you just ensure the fact that you understand it nicely. So what we have is a MCP client. So an MCP client would be primarily installed on your client. That means, let's say you have Claude desktop, let's say you have an IDE, so Cursor has an MCP client as well. Now you would want to set up some servers so that these clients can efficiently become smart and talk to your services. And then you could just have a lot of things. Let's say you have a local data source A, local data source B, and C, you have some sort of an API, and you want your Claude to access to it. So guys, in nutshell, it's very simple. In nutshell, you just need to remember that MCP is a protocol that will help my LLM. Okay, that will help my LLM, or perhaps a client. Client is essentially an application side, because Claude desktop is an application, right? It would help my application which uses an LLM talk to external data sources in a consistent manner. And that is pretty much it, right? Because if you have a consistent way in which the client can talk to the server, so your system inherently, your Claude desktop, will become more smart over time. Now guys, the next part is how do we get started on it, and what are the main components you as a developer need to know. So see guys, first of all, you need to see your computer, right? So this is your computer. So right now for this demo, you would need to have a Claude desktop installed, and rest everything I'll cover, that how do we ensure that things are set up in the most proper way. So let me open my Claude desktop once. So how do I open my Claude desktop? Let's just try to see. Yeah. So guys, are you able to see my Claude desktop? I think you should be good and able to see my Claude desktop right now. So what are we essentially doing over here is that we have a Claude desktop instance running. And now let's say I want to ask it what is the, so let me ask what is the weather in China. So see guys, what is going to happen. It is going to call a get weather from weather local, and from there it was able to see that the weather in Beijing, China is currently sunny. Now, are you able to see guys how it was able to do it? That's very interesting point. It is able to do it because of one function that I have written. So let me show you one function that I have written, and then you will be able to see it even further, that what I'm talking about in general. So let me try to see if I can show you that function. So here you go. Now this is the only code setup that I have done for the time being, at least, where I have essentially done an import from MCP server.fast MCP import fast MCP. So I'm creating a fast API server, and essentially I want my Claude desktop, that is my client, to talk to my server in the most efficient and most proper manner, right? Now you're able to see the first line is just an import statement. The second line is we are initializing the app instance. Now the third is the most important thing, that I'm creating a MCP tool. Now, if I'm able to create an MCP tool, that means inside this simple Python function, I can write anything. I can create 10 functions as well. Whatever I want, guys, I can write in this Python file. Tell me, guys, whatever complicated business logic you have, whatever databases, tools you want to define, whatever context you want to define, whatever API calls you want to define, whatever, let's say, web search you want to define, whatever custom logics you want to define, you can just mention in this Python function, right? Essentially, the main thing is you need to set up a server, right? So this is the simple coding demo of how to set up the server in the most simplest manner. You can see it's hardly anything, no code is written. This is the template that I'm sharing with you. Using this template, you can change this function and write 10 other functions as well. Everything will get connected. Now, the next thing that you will ask me is, sir, okay, we need to create a folder. Let's say any folder you can create. And then you need to write a Python script which is going to do this. The next thing that you need to know is that there are few important installs that you need to take care of while creating this environment, right? Because sometimes these sort of installs can create some trouble for you. So let me try to see if I can create a requirements.txt as well. So this would help you in setting up this environment in the most efficient manner. So for creating this thing, you would require, I'll tell you what all things you would require. So you would require MCP. So MCP is the Python version, like the Python module that you would be using. And then you require Fast API. Ubicon is the server on which Fast API runs, and Pydantic is essentially used to define schema, which is used to just ensure that there is proper input and output validation while we are talking in terms of API requests. So are you able to see, guys, how simply you can set up this code repository? It's simple. You just need to create a VENV. You need to install these Python libraries, and then you need to define a Python file. You can name it whatever you want, but just try to follow this basic structure in text, in context of imports and everything. And then, guys, you need to define a simple Python function. We are good. And then you need to run it as Python web server.py. So what is this saying is that my server, my backend server is now started. Now, if my backend server is started, that means essentially right now I haven't established the connection between client and server, but my client, that is Claude desktop, right? If you would see, here is my client. Let me show you my Claude desktop again. This is my client. This client is ready to communicate to the server the moment I establish some connection between them. And then obviously we are using a model context protocol, so the communication is happening via model context protocol. And even, let's see, even if I could just ask you that how does HTTP work, explain. So it's a little difficult to go into the layer and go in depth of it and make, like, understand how in heart of it HTTP works. The same way, guys, it will work on a layer of abstraction. It's just the fact that you need to know that, okay, a client is going to talk to a server and I need to establish a server, and this is the simplest Python repository which will help me get started on it. A simple logic, set up the virtual environments, get the requirements.txt loaded in, and here you go, bang you go. Right away get started with coding, and only thing you need to do is ensure that you write Python functions which the LLM will call. Now, this is a simple Python function. It's going to take the argument, the weather in the city is sunny, and return it. But guys, are you able to see here you can write some very private functions which are internal to your organization? Are you able to see this, guys? You can write some web search logic. You can write some custom logic which will be secretive as well. And the main thing is you would want your Claude desktop to communicate to it. Now you have seen over here that the Claude desktop is able to communicate with it. But the main thing is we have a client, we have a server, but where is the connection? Now this is where it gets interesting, guys. So I'll tell you how to set up the connection. So let me go to my Claude desktop. Now we are into our Claude desktop. You need to click on these three dots. You need to click on edit. Okay, let's click on file, click on settings, and here you need to go to developer. So in the developer mode, there is something known as model context protocol and edit config. So if you click on this edit config, let's just click on this edit config, and let me first see that is the config file visible to you guys, because this is in some separate directory. So let me see, is the config file opened? Yeah. So the config file is open, but I need to ensure that you guys are able to safely see it. So guys, this is a config file. Now don't get confused or don't think this is complicated, guys. This is not at all complicated. This is a simple config file. This is a simple format that you need to follow. And that's pretty much it, guys. So here I have set up two servers. Okay, for the time being, let's leave the first server aside and talk about the second server. So second server is weather, the command is Python, and the argument is this is where the file is located. Just by doing this, by just changing this config file, you will be able to ensure that now your client and server can talk, because we had a client which was done by Anthropic. I set up a MCP server using Python and an abstract layer of fast API on top of it. I have defined 20 functions. Now I want that my client, that is Claude desktop, should be able to talk to my web server, and you're able to see only thing I need to change. So the link between the client and the server is this Claude desktop config.json file, which you can change, tweak, and I have added two things over here. Now you'll be asking me, we know what MCP is, we can set up our server, we know how to ensure that Cloud desktop can talk to the server that I have in here. But the fourth point you're saying, sir, what is this other thing, that is this files something related to this? So let me go to Cloud desktop for a moment. So here guys, if you look at my Cloud desktop, I have given my Cloud desktop one another kind of service as well, that is file read service. Now you will be asking me, sir, what is this file read service? So let's just go to the iPad once and let me show you the place from where you can use a lot of pre-built templates. So let me show you. So let me just see how, where is that website once. So example servers. Yeah. So I think I have it on my iPad. Let's just see that the iPad is visible to you guys. So let's just see, the iPad should be visible to you guys in a moment. Sometimes guys, connection, like these services also should have a proper protocol to communicate, but you know, Apple devices have a very different sort of security settings and other things, so it's not that easy to connect a Windows machine and a Apple edge device, but that's possible. Probably. Okay, let's just try to see, are we good? Yeah, we are good. Yeah. So yeah, so here guys, this is the website model context protocol. What it does is that there are few example servers which are already set up for you. Now let's say you want the Claude desktop to access your local file system. So click on this file system. You will be able to see that there is this MCP file server readme file which you can find, and following this you can just essentially set up your server in two ways. That means one is using a Docker file and one is using an npx. So I think you can simply use this npx thing. This is not very difficult. Otherwise you would need to do a Docker setup, which will be slightly difficult, but this npx thing is simple. You just need to copy paste this line of code, and then if you go to my place where I was showing you essentially the idea, that was that yeah, so if you look at this screen again, are you able to see the same code that I just showed you right there? So MCP server file name command, and this is the argument. So I'm giving the Claude desktop to perform a bunch of things which are already set up by who? These are set up by Claude only, as an Anthropic, and I'm giving it rights to this users Aditya desktop data MCP. So whatever things I dump in this folder, now my Claude, will be able to talk to these. So if you are able to see my Claude, let me open my Claude one. So if you are able to see my Claude, right, let me see that you are able to see my Claude. Yes, you are able to see my Claude. So it is able to talk to these 12 MCP tools available. So create directory, directory tree, edit file, get file info, get weather is my personal, which I just showed you that how did I created a fast API server and connected with the client, and these both things are communicating via MCP protocol. List allow directories, list directories, move file, read multiple files, search files, write file. So are you able to see, guys, all these things were not directly set up by me, but I used their example directory in order to set up these things. So guys, now you can say that what is the final message for us and what is the final roadmap for us in order to get started with this type of system. So guys, this is first of all let me quickly move back to our iPad so that you will be able to have some closing notes. So how do you get started on it, guys? So the best thing to get started is like I got started, that is create your own server. So there is no problem, guys. I think you should get started and create your, so you should get started and create your own server like I created. And guys, I'll be sharing this GitHub link with you. It's very simple. Only thing is create a virtual environment, install dependencies, follow the code template that I have given you, boom. So you will have a server ready very quickly, guys. It's very easy to set up a server. Now you already have a client set up. To start with, guys, you can use Claude desktop, or you can use, let's say, you can use Cursor. So these are primarily two applications which already have a client, like the client setup for MCP done, and they have done it. And probably, guys, in future every system which works on this LLM will have an MCP client inbuilt only, so don't worry about that. You would probably as a developer need to create a lot of server and lot of services so that your LLMs can communicate to these services in the most efficient manner. So you can create your own server by the Python code that I have shown you. And then, guys, the next thing is you can get started on some examples which I shown you are given in the repository. So that, let's say you want to ensure that Claude desktop can read your local file directory. So that type of setup, the file system setup is already done. Only thing you need to see is that how to configure that. And to configure that, guys, in most of the tools, only things you need to do is there would be a config.json. You need to change this config.json and you will be able to ensure that your client and server is successfully able to talk to each other, and the protocol that is being used is not HTTP like in general web internet. The protocol that is being used is MCP. So guys, this should really clear all your doubts, because in order to get started with MCP, these are few important things that you need to know. And the main idea is that you need to ensure that you are able to set up servers. And in some cases you might be, if you're like building up a product and you want the world to consume it in future, and it's a core LLM based service as well, so guys, you would need to inbuilt a client as well. Probably this won't come to you since most organizations will have this kind of thing already set up for you, but 95% times you'll be creating a lot of servers and editing the JSON files in order to get started with it. Only few short notes that I want to give you is, sometimes, guys, Claude desktop has some issues because right now it is in beta version. So just ensure that you are able to reload stuff, close it, restart your PCs, all these things you need to do. Sometimes the Claude, like, it just gets stuck only. So just try to reload, restart, ensure that all Claude instances are closed. So if you're able to follow along these things, there should be no major difficulties in setting up your first MCP server, and the code will be given to you, guys. You can just set up your MCP server. On that note, guys, I would like to end today's lecture. And guys, please subscribe to my YouTube channel. I see some of you are watching my videos and you're not subscribing. This channel is going to grow, guys. There will be a very interesting content coming on this channel. And if you require anything, you can directly reach out to me on Instagram and LinkedIn as well. And yes, guys, there are few hiring opportunities in which I'm involved, please reach out to me on LinkedIn. Thank you guys and have a great day.